Trans Vegas live. Coming back on stage again feels exciting. To be together again feels powerful. It's going to be a really magical night.
So this is a truly international Zoom call. I'm here in Provincetown, Massachusetts, and you, for some reason, are in Turkey. I should tell people that we're on Zoom to talk about something which is happening in Manchester, England. And if you're queer, you should know about Manchester, England. At least that was where the original Queer as Folk was shot and set years ago. If you don't know, then you need your gay card taken away. So does Manchester also have a substantial trans and genderqueer community as well?
I mean, I transitioned there 20 years ago, so it was a very different landscape then for trans people. And there was definitely, there was always a trans community there, but I think there was definitely an underground element to it. And I think there was a lot of like passing and trying to just go under the radar. I think what's happened over the years, and I think especially in kind of some of the work that I've been doing, is to really raise that visibility and the vibrancy. And really feel like Manchester deserves a brilliant trans arts festival. And so I set it up a few years ago, based on the back of me coming back to performing. And I thought, well, I'm not the only, there are a lot of trans performers. How can we platform more trans performers? And, you know, it's a city of festivals. It's a city of culture. And I thought, well, it's really lacking trans culture. I don't see myself in and around these venues and in this city culturally. So what can we do? And I love the fact that Manchester International Festival is on at the same time. And I feel like we just kind of like nuzzle in. We always do it at the same time to kind of say, yeah, we're here and we're getting on with what we're doing, because it can all be very cisgendered if you're not careful. You know, even within the LGBT scene, it can all get very, and I think there's a lot of the LGBT festivals and events, but we were like, no, let's just really narrow it down, put it in the north of England, make it just for trans people. I mean, on paper, a bank probably wouldn't lend you the money for that. Yeah. But I was like, build it and they will come. And last year, 15,000 people kind of came and joined us online, and you know we're hoping this year the names are getting bigger, and who we're attracting. It's international this year. It's local, international. Let's go back to the beginning of 2016. You founded a trans creative arts company with a tagline, "Telling Our Own Stories." Yeah. Can you tell us about that? When I set the company up, I was really aware that anything that was kind of represented trans people usually wasn't written by trans people, and it wasn't played by trans people. So I thought, how amazing to have an arts company that is literally about telling our own stories. And there's a lot of ownership in that. And we kind of laid it out, trans creative, telling our own stories. It's pretty much like you can kind of, I really wanted to not make it mysterious what we were trying to do, because I felt like even back in, the landscape's changed so much in the last 5 years for trans culture. I really wanted to make it really obvious. And now people aren't shouting so much about being trans, they're getting on with their work, and that's great. But I still like it as a headliner, you know, that we are a trans organization, because it just helps people find you. I mean, when you're queer, or, you know, I was a gay man in the 80s, you know, it was like you had to hunt stuff down and look out for little clues. So I like to make it really clear. I mean, the festival's called Trans Vegas. It's very bright. I've got blue hair. You know, we want to make it really vibrant and visible. So I was going to ask you, why Vegas? Why Vegas? Well, I mean, I think there's a fun kind of sexy craziness attached to Las Vegas. Okay. And I think with a lot of trans stuff, it can often be it has been quite worthy, a bit somber. The narratives can be quite negative. And I was like, how can we just flip that? You know, it's irreverent. There's an irreverence to it. Also, I just think it's a really cute name. And it's a bit of a homage to another festival that was happening. Really? Trans Fabulous. It used to be called Trans Fabulous. So it's kind of in that world, really. So how much is it about creating and welcoming environments for the trans community, and how much is it about educating the rest of us and working to more acceptance at large? Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a reimagining of the world in a way. I feel like for this weekend, imagine if trans people were in charge, and this is what we would say, and this is what we would do. It's kind of like putting ourselves there unapologetically. It's like 100% trans, and I love that. So it definitely feels like it's for our community, but it's also for, you know, the gender non-conforming and gender questioning and queer and non-binary. There's a massive growth in that. We can see that with our audiences. I think people are much more interested in their expressions of gender. So I feel like it kind of just have an element of that. And I do push it for, the work is good. So the work is really interesting. Like some of the artists are working in, two Jamaican artists, trans artists, who are trans fashion activists. Manchester has a big black community. We have placed massive billboards of trans fashion activists in the middle of Manchester. I feel that will talk to a lot of people. We've put our coming back to the stage night is also in the middle of Manchester, and in a venue that has lots of different people come and perform. So we're not ghettoizing it. It's very much on the streets. It's very much there. And I think if people do want to get involved with, you know, come and join in the discussions, you will learn a lot, and you will see how trans work is really nuanced and developed. And I think that might surprise people. You know, we've got a literature festival within an international literature
I was going to say
festival.
to you, we ran the trailer at the beginning of this interview, but just give us a rough idea. What am I coming to? I'm coming to performance, I'm coming to discussion groups, I'm coming to dance. What am I coming to do?
We're really excited about this year, and there's a lot of organisations that have had to do this. They call it a hybrid. In a way, what we've tried to do, like last year, rather than go small with that, we go big. So we thought, let's get some stuff on the streets, some stuff online, and some stuff on stage. And I feel like that kind of covered quite a few bases. So the stuff on the street is, like I described, the Jamaican trans artists, Kim Savage and Imani Edwards, who are really inspiring. And we've put them on billboards, and we're asking people to respond to those images with their own bits of trans fashion activism. Because one of the themes this year was taking the idea of not for the likes of us. And those two activists, they take pictures of themselves in Kingston, Jamaica, in areas where they're not welcome. So I love the fact that we're celebrating places, we're taking over. There's an idea of takeover, there's a campaign, there's politics in that. So there's the kind of politics, beautiful visual fashion, trans politics on the streets that are going to be there for 2 weeks. So we're really proud of that, to have like an exhibition up for 2 weeks on the streets, very accessible. Then the stuff online, very varied. There's a trans literature festival, which kept growing and growing, because trans literature is growing and growing. And yeah, that's, for me, that's really exciting. And it's meant that I've started to read a lot more of those books that are in the festival. I really feel like I often make a festival that I'd like to go to. You know?
How selfish. But how can people get involved, either to participate or to support?
Yeah, well, if you go to transcreative.uk, that's all our social media and our website. We've just launched yesterday our digital program, so it's kind of all on there. We've made it really simple. You literally click on that link at that time on that day, and you will be in the online event.
Okay, stay with this film to the very end, because we'll put the link up there.
Great. So yeah, we keep that really simple, because I always say, imagine it's me trying to get on that. So with the events, we've managed to work, again, because it's still near the end, you know, this pandemic is still rolling on. There's artists we really wanted to work with, like Travis Alabanza, Lauren John Joseph, Kachenga, some kind of favourites. We've kind of brought people we've worked with before, and then we've got some new people. But we're definitely challenging where trans people get access to, and where do they get space, like in literature, in film. And then we've also commissioned 3 bedtime stories that are specifically written by Greater Manchester trans artists. And so they're going to end each night of the festival with a beautiful, I don't think they're going to lull you to sleep, because they're quite rich and potent, but they're there. And then our big kind of news is coming back on stage on the Saturday night.
Okay.
And so there is a venue that houses 400 people safely outside. Manchester's known for its rain. We don't know what's going to happen. And so, again, we've gathered this really beautiful collection, and we're calling it kind of the Midsummer trans magical evening where we feel like we need to bring people back in a kind of gentle way. People have been very isolated, especially in the trans community, and very detached, and they haven't had a chance to come together. So it feels really powerful to come together. It feels like a gathering. And there's a lot of contemporary dance, there's Bollywood dance in it, there's West End singers, there's kind of classical singing. It's really rich. It feels like a little mini like a trans Glastonbury.
We're sold. But will you be there, or will you be in Turkey?
No, I won't be there. I won't be there. So I've had to do this remotely, and I have to say, all the online events have been really kind of, I've got in the habit of that. I'm really gutted to not be in the centre of Manchester, to see the billboards, but also just to kind of be with those artists. I mean, we end the whole evening with a version of I Will Always Love You.
Oh, good.
Because I think you should always have cheese at the end of every meal.
Okay, before we go, I just want to say, if I'm right, Manchester was the first city to have a gay Lord Mayor. Is that correct?
I think you might be right. In Manchester, yes.
So are we going to see a time when you're the first city with the first trans Lord Mayor?
I mean, I would quite like to rock that massive jewelry. I'm very interested in that. I mean, I think so. I think if it's going to happen, I mean, I nearly moved away from Manchester when I transitioned because it's kind of a tough, honest northern city. And I thought, you know what? That's a kind of brilliant place to do it because it kind of it will hold you. And I do feel like this is my gift to Manchester. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got a mayor. You know, it's quite, there's a lot of progressive stuff that goes on in Manchester. But now I'm quite cocky, really. I just go, there's a trans arts festival, enjoy it, Manchester. You know, it's for you, for the whole of the city.
Manchester will, and we're going to spread this around the world. So there'll be other people around the world. It was great talking to you. Enjoy your month's vacation in Turkey. And
when is it going to end?
We are here in Kingston, Jamaica, and we will be bringing our resilience, glamour, and bravery to Trans Vegas 2021.
But in the UK, we're still not hitting publishing. There is still not spaces where in TV, film, writing, theatre in the UK, we're seeing Black trans work invested in.
If you're working class or trans, if you have any other intersections, I mean, I think that there's a kind of sense of it becoming this massive thing that you carry around, and somehow you have to deal with that you carry around.
Looking back on all of those memories, every single one of the most joyous ones were when I was in drag and doing a drag show.
Trans Vegas live. Coming back on stage again feels exciting. To be together again feels powerful.